conspiracy theorists on top. Imagine that. One conspiracy theorist won CIA 0 or something. The conspiracy theorists will know better than I. I mean, even the Associated Press themselves admit it's going to stir up some controversy. Fluoride in the water. They're putting fluoride in the water. They're making no. That's another chemical, right? We got black helicopters and chemicals in the water, or if the fluoride I've been ingesting has calcified my pineal gland, therefore disconnecting me from the tree of life and God himself. I'm going to leave that as an I don't know. The report that's coming around, though, is about fluoridated water. AP, the U.S. government report says fluoride at twice the recommended limit is linked to lower IQ in kids. Were they right? They were right. It's all real. A U.S. government report expected to stir debate, told you, concluded that fluoride in drinking water at twice the recommended limit is linked with lower IQ in children. I mean, too much of anything can harm you. Some of you may have heard of this. If I may segue, they said that they weren't shadow banning conservatives, you conservative wacko. You think that they're changing articles so that you could forget what was reported on? You whack job. You think the social media companies are getting instruction from the government in some way to suppress and censor different parts of their social media? Using different tools to not even outrightly ban, but to make them disappear, make them kind of go away. Not happening. And now you want to bring in the election. What's that got to do with social media? Talking about Mark Zuckerberg a little bit. The Reddit bros are turning on Mark Zuckerberg, owner of Meta, that company that owns Facebook and Instagram. Well, he's not so popular on Reddit anymore. And I'm pretty sure he was. You know, these Reddit guys, they're like tech guys, they're internet guys, and they're turning on Mark Zuckerberg. The way they turned on Elon, imagine that. Let people speak freely, and they start saying things that you don't like. Now you're going to go blame Elon Musk. Like his whole motivation isn't just to let people speak freely as much as he can. As much as he can. But look, Reddit is turning on Mark Zuckerberg. He is on the path to going full MAGA brain rot. He said he doesn't want to help anyone, but is clearly helping Trump. Eventually, it will come out with sexual allegations. Okay, I don't know where you're going with that. And he will be welcomed with open arms. He's always been a creep, says Karma Boy 20. For context, I'm specifically talking about his letter that said the government told him to censor the laptop story. They didn't ask him anything and denied this many times under oath. Also, he claims the laptop story was true. It has been debunked completely many times. Yeah. Where's your source, bro? Karma Boy. Where's your source, bro? He is 100% captured by Russia and spreading old misinformation. Reddit, it's not too happy. The liberals online aren't too happy with Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg's election season gift to Republicans, writes CNN. What a gift he's giving them. And he basically, in this letter, confirms what we all knew. Confirms what the Hunter laptop story revealed to us. Confirmed what people have been saying about government involvement with the social media companies. Confirmed the desire to stifle and control the free flow of information. Mark Zuckerberg is handing Republicans political victories ahead of the 2024 presidential election, acquiescing to years of GOP grievances over his company's policies. It's from CNN. In recent days, the Meta chief executive has made newsworthy public statements implicitly supporting right-wing censorship narratives. They're just narratives, huh? These are just narratives. Even though the owner of Meta is telling you, let me confirm the reporting by others. Yeah, we did talk to the government multiple times, and yeah, we did suppress the laptop story and other things that we're not happy with. COVID suppression. So it's just censorship narrative, says CNN. On Monday, Zuckerberg sent a letter to the powerful House Judiciary Committee. Isn't that funny? CNN calling the House Judiciary Committee powerful. I don't know if I've ever seen the CNN describe the House Judiciary Committee, which is Republican-led, in such a way. Suddenly they're so powerful and they're going to keep things lawful. The content of the letter and the reaction to it, pretty interesting. In the letter, Zuckerberg says, in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our team for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. There's been some pretty interesting markers, glaring even. That's what makes this one so interesting, is that these markers are now pretty glaring. Glaring indictments of our status quo, of our system. That Joe Biden could be replaced like it's nothing. And we know that we were able to see his mental state decline to such a degree that it's clear that there has to be some shadow government making the decisions. Joe Biden is not running the country, bringing into question that very question, who's in charge of the country. Remember, that's just wacko. That was wacko stuff before. Any Silicon Valley liberal should be now kind of question, because these are like fact-based people. They love the research. I noticed that some of these Silicon Valley liberals still, especially if they're men, the ladies, it's just off the deep end. It's just don't even try. But the men, Silicon Valley liberals seem to still, when the facts don't gel, when the stats and the facts don't gel, some questions start popping up. And it should be that kind of the Overton window on Joe Biden and the shadow government. Joe Biden himself has moved that window. Come on. The free flow of information is a major issue for the governments of the world. They really care about what you're allowed to say and who's controlling that. You didn't think so, but it's true. Oh, it's just conspiracy. They literally have done that. Laptop story and beyond. COVID and beyond. All the criticisms of the conspiracy theorists, wackos who want election integrity. What are you talking about? We already have election integrity. Well, when these aren't even it's like election integrity. Well, now we're talking about the free flow of information and what you see in the news. And now it's not so wacky. And it's like, that's the messed up part of this whole thing. When these aren't even off the deep end questions, trying to lampoon reasonable people and tie them up with flat earthers. No offense, flat earthers, or others. Okay, trying to lampoon some pretty reasonable questions like, well, if you suppress news, aren't you suppressing what people see, especially during an election? I say this. I've heard this before, and I say it a lot. First election where phones were ubiquitous was 2016, where the vast majority of people had a phone, a screen in their pockets where they get, and what does that mean, folks? That means you're getting the majority of your, like, you guys know how you use your phones? Come on. You get a lot of information and your news, and you get a lot of your stuff from your phone. Now, during an election and someone can control these little screens in our pockets, well, that's a good question. Big win for free speech, the committee wrote. Interesting stuff. What do y'all think? Zuckerberg, is he real or not? Is he an alien? Is he a real person or no? They say that Zuckerberg's not real, that he's a lizard. He's an alien lizard person. He's an alien trying to act like a human. And I think I can totally believe someone being a Silicon Valley liberal. But then, you see in all this, isn't he Jewish? You see in all this, they're turning on the Jews. They're these rabid POCs. They're nuts now. I'm trying to draw a line between all the way from a Silicon Valley liberal Jew all the way to possibly being MAGA pilled and waking up. Like, you could draw a line, and what's the point with that? That he is a real person, maybe. He's seeing Elon Musk trailblaze that. I some of the criticisms are fair. If this is true, Zuckerberg, then change Facebook. Do it. Show us that you're not being pressured by the government. Give them the finger, the government, and tell them, hey, no, you can't have the data. Give us the data. But okay. That's just my opinion. I think he might be getting MAGA pilled. It's possible. He might be more real than you think, okay? These employees are probably crazy liberal. The actual Facebook employees. And he might be a real dude. I mean, check this out. Should I even say the word? Because look, you look at this YouTube video by CBS News. They're talking about the Holocaust, whatever. And YouTube puts a little context thing telling them, hey, whatever you're hearing in this video, just so you know, the Holocaust was the genocide of European Jews. Okay, we're educating you because you just don't know. And they're just really making sure that you know about this one and that you're not getting misinformed about it. When CBS News was not doing any misinformation, they're just reporting on this interesting little story back in 6 years ago now, where Zuckerberg said Holocaust deniers won't be banned from Facebook. Let's watch a little bit of this news report from 6 years ago. 6 years ago.
Speech after Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is having to explain his way out of controversy yet again. Zuckerberg says he's trying to protect free speech after saying he wouldn't remove content about Holocaust denial. John Blackstone has this story.
Mark Zuckerberg's latest controversy began with a podcast interview for the tech website Recode. Holocaust deniers, he said, would not be blocked from Facebook.
I'm Jewish, and there's a set of people who deny that the Holocaust happened.
Yes,
right? I find that deeply offensive. But at the end of the day, I don't believe that our platform should take that down, because I think that there are things that different people get wrong. I don't think that they're intentionally getting it wrong.
Blowback came quickly.
Holocaust denial at its core, whether it's on Facebook or any social media platform, is one of the most pernicious and sinister forms of hate speech that exists today.
Facebook pages questioning the Holocaust remain on the social network. In a statement, Zuckerberg said, "I absolutely didn't intend to defend the intent of people who deny that."
Welcome to F8. This has been an intense year.
This controversy comes in a year that Zuckerberg has done a lot of apologizing and explaining, from conferences to Congress, promising to do more to stop the spread of false information on Facebook.
We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake.
Zuckerberg explained that Facebook may not take down individual posts that deny the Holocaust, but will block those from its widely shared news feed. And German officials reminded Facebook that denying the Holocaust is a crime in Germany, subject to millions in fines. DeMarco?
All right, John Blackstone. John, thank you.
Incredible. It's such an interesting story. It's just an interesting story. Look, Zuckerberg tried his best there, but to protect free speech, it's interesting to note the change in language and how this can we call it a war? This is kind of lame to call it a war. Really, the war is not outside of you. The war is within. Your enemy is within you. But in this war, some of the fronts have to do with our language, and our language shows kind of where those lines are sometimes. And he went from wanting to protect free speech to wanting to protect speech in a safe manner. If you read his letter, which I just paraphrased, not in the exact wording, but if you read his letter, he went from wanting to protect free speech with no caveats, no qualifying words, to all these qualifying words, to now I want to protect speech as long as it's safe and all that. Got to qualify free speech, which is a funny thing, and not even call it free speech. Interesting to note these lines drawn in our own language and how we use it. But besides that, just being based on that, look, people who deny, he says that he's Jewish and it deeply offends him, but he doesn't believe, he doesn't think that, he thinks that there are just things that people get wrong. Isn't that true? And if that's just true on its face, that people just get things wrong sometimes, then ergo you cannot censor speech. You cannot censor speech, or it would be evil to do so in a public, in a large setting, in a public square setting. If it's true that people just get things wrong sometimes, it would be showing hate and not love to then censor speech, because you are taking all that room out of there, all that grace in that room that you should have for your fellow man. You are taking it, you're ripping it completely off, and making it a legal thing, and writing that into law. Get rid of this space there, assuming that anyone's doing that is just hateful, because people just get things wrong. And you got to understand what motivates people's thinking sometimes. Sometimes it has nothing to do with logic. Sometimes it's just patterns and feelings, which have their place, I guess. But look, some people just see the pattern of governments lying. Some people just see this pattern that governments lie. And they point out, for example, maybe some discrepancies in how the Holocaust, for example, is taught. And they'll be nitpicking at some of these discrepancies, and they'll expand it to a full-blown lie. Oh, Germany getting in there saying it's a crime. Incredible. That's significant because the CEO of Telegram, as you may have heard, just got recently arrested in France for basically a similar thing. And what's so crazy about that story is this is a guy who owns Telegram, a social media messaging app, and it's based out of Russia and Dubai. This guy shows up in France, and France believes they're correct in arresting him. Arresting him for what? For what other users on his platform are doing. So these other users, that's not him, are sending, illegal things to each other, like child pornography or something like that. And because the users on his platform are doing that, he is liable for that. And not only that, for a company that's not even in France, this is so crazy. That's actually off the deep end crazy what's happening there. That's even possible. Imagine Jesse showing up in Russia, and they arrest him for having Bond for being racist or something. That's truly insane. And Germany threatening Zuckerberg 6 years ago like that. It's illegal, big fines. Where do you get off? And then Zuckerberg had to acquiesce to the criticisms and say, yeah, okay, sorry, okay, we'll block that stuff. And what I said was my opinion, and okay, we'll block that stuff and all that. It's incredible. Let me get to calls here. That's what I wanted to say about Zuckerberg and our social media and the free flow of information. It's just fascinating stuff. But let's get to calls here.